What can you expect during an Akashic record reading? The very first thing that I want to address is that all of my readings are held online, virtually through Zoom. And so we don't have to physically be in the same place in order for you to have a really powerful experience reading, to receive the clarity, to receive the guidance, to receive answers to the questions that you have and helping you align to your soul's purpose. We do not have to be in the same place. And the thing with energy is that it doesn't matter on location. And so a lot of times in these readings, there'll be energy healings that come through, and the client on the other side feels the energy even though we're not in the same place. So it's completely irrelevant. So I wanted to mention that first because I know there have been some questions about this and wondering like, well, Jeni, I'm not where you are. It doesn't matter. Okay, as for the rest of the reading, once you decide, you know what, I want to do this and I feel like Jeni is the best person to be my Akashic record guide and to be able to be here through this experience with me, what will happen is once you sign up, you will get a preparing for your Akashic record PDF. And in that PDF, it's going to share a little bit of everything, information on what the records are. There's a channeled message from the record keepers explaining what the records are, as well as some sample questions that you could ask during your reading. Now, these questions that are in this PDF, by no means do you have to use any of them. You can ask any question you want. Those are just like idea joggers, like things to get your mind going on what types of things you can ask. One thing that I have found through the readings that I've had so far is that the more open you can be with your questions, so instead of being like, I don't know, like having like a really hardcore question, like, do I need to go here or here? Or do I need to do this or that? Or being like really attached to a certain question or answer. If you can be like, hey, what may I know about this situation? What may I know about upcoming travel? What may I know about, going to this place? You could still be specific about the questions, but the more open you are by asking like, what may I know about this? It just opens up more. I just find that the information that comes through usually is in a lot more flow than if someone is like really, really needing an answer or desiring an answer, because it's almost like the more attached you are to the answers, kind of like the less they come through sometimes. So that's something to keep in mind. And then is what on your end, all I ask you to do is come with an open mind and an open heart. The more open you are to the experience, the more things will flow. Let's see. Okay, so in a reading, we meet, we chat a little bit on Zoom, I answer any questions you have. Then what happens is I do a sacred prayer and I open up your Akashic records. Then once your records are open, I come back, I'm usually on mute for that process, and I come back off mute and I let you know your records are now open. Then I press record and your reading starts officially from that moment. And what's unique about this lineage of Akashic record reading is that we go through opening remarks. And so once your records are open, it's almost like there's like some information there waiting to greet you. And sometimes the information that's there will answer some of the questions that you've probably had, or possibly give you confirmation on who you are, or even just relay things back. I've had poems come through there, I've had healings come through. I've actually had readings where the opening remarks literally answered all the questions that the person had, and we didn't even get officially to her questions, because when she looked at her list of questions, she was like, wow, they've all been answered. Now, I want you to keep in mind that every single reading is unique and different. So if I'm sharing here that there's been healings or things come up about past lives, or there's been poems, those things are not guaranteed for your reading, because I am sharing whatever is coming through at that moment. And when I share the wisdom that's being channeled through me, so let's talk about channeling. Channeling, I do a form of conscious channeling where I'm connecting to the Akashic record keepers and your guides. And what happens is my eyes are open, I'm here and I'm present, and I am sharing whatever I'm feeling or seeing or hearing. Sometimes they speak through me with their words, or feelings that I have. I've had times when energy is moving like through my throat, and I'll mention like I have energy moving here, I have a really strong presence here, and it's interesting because usually that's related to whatever's going on with the client and their body, maybe not directly but indirectly. And then as we go through a series of questions, as more information is revealed, like there will then be a release. So I share that kind of stuff, and I do not interpret, I do not judge, I just share what's there regardless of what it is, because I know and trust that the information that's being shared will be relevant to you, whether you consciously are aware of it in the moment of receiving it or not. And I say that because sometimes information comes through and you're like, what does that mean? And the interesting thing is that sometimes you find out days and weeks later and you're like, oh my gosh, I know what that meant. Like that totally makes sense now. But like in the moment, it's just not ringing a bell for you, and that's okay. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the process. It's all fun. There's so many different examples coming through in my head of like, I don't know, I'm just thinking of so many different things, but usually in the days to come, right? Because it's like, okay, so you go through the reading, you're there, you're open, you're listening, you're taking notes. And then, after the reading, when we close your records officially, I recommend that you just sit with the information and let it sink in and just give yourself some time to process everything. And then go back and re-listen to your reading. Listen to the recording. I don't know, give it a day or two or a week or whatever amount of time that you feel like you could process, because what will happen is when you listen to it again, you'll hear all the information from a new perspective than maybe in that moment when you had your own like thoughts and judgments and excitements and energies and whatever coming through. And then when you're listening to it with a fresh set of like ears after you've just kind of stepped away, then you're going to hear something completely different and may even unlock more layers of the message for you that are there. Also, I want you to, while you're in the reading, like any symbols or thoughts or visions or ideas that come to you during the reading, you also want to jot those down too, because those are there for a reason. And once again, you don't have to interpret everything on the moment. Take the things that resonate with you, leave the other things. It's completely up to you. Every reading is different. One thing I'm going to share is that I learned that since I'm in the Akashic Records very frequently, both for myself and others, is that I literally, as well as you, could ask the same question every single time and get a slightly different answer, maybe a different depth of the answer or a different perspective. Because the thing is that as we go about, since the records are like our soul's past, present, and all future timelines, we as humans have free will, and we have the ability to make our choices and decisions. And then as we make those choices and decisions, it alters our timelines, it alters our future. And so the thing is that, now that you have the information you receive from the records, that then potentially you're making a different decision based on that information you receive from the reading. Or, you know what I'm saying? So just things change. And my point is that things are always ebbing and flowing. I mean, you're still you, and your records are still yours. But my point is that, for some it is a one and done, but for others they come back. I'm starting to have some people come back and book readings, and I think that's beautiful because you're just at different points in your life, or maybe you want to ask different questions, or maybe you want to ask, deeper questions. You're like, oh, that first time I just asked all these simple questions, I got all the answers, now I want to come over here and ask these other questions. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it. So I look forward to connecting with you. I'm going to continue sharing these videos to help give you an understanding and help answer some of the common questions that I'm getting behind the scenes. And by doing this, I'm also putting myself out there in such a way so that you can feel my energy and feel my passion and authenticity, because I want you to know and feel that I am the right Akashic record guide for you. And you feel confident when you book a reading with me, you feel confident that it's in alignment. That is my number one priority. I want you to feel comfortable, and I want you to feel excited. I want you to feel like it's in alignment, and know that I am going to, this is really sacred to me, and it's really important to me to be able to make sure that you have a really good experience. So that is, let me know if you have any other questions. Of course, if you want to book a reading, you can go to akashicactivations.com, find a time on my calendar, and book your reading. All right, I'll see you.